Maine, a procession was held yesterday from Augusta to Newport for game warden Josh Tibbetts. We'll have the story on that coming up.
Plus, Vice President J.D. Vance is set to visit Queen City today. We'll tell you about the preparations ahead.
And the city of Ellsworth is planning to open a substance abuse recovery clinic. We'll have that story as well.
Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for watching on this Thursday morning. We'll have those stories and more. Of course, the big story of the day probably is going to be the vice presidential visit. We already have a crew over there getting set up for that.
We do, bright and early in the morning.
We'll have some details on that coming up. But first, a check of that forecast, and it's looking like a rather gray day today with just a chance of rain. Doesn't look like a washout by any means, but
good.
Chance of rain throughout the day.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
We'll turn things over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, Craig and Janessa, thank you very much. Happy Thursday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer. Experience the Quality Automotive difference. Reliable service and expert care that you can depend on. Call us to schedule your next appointment, 922-2043. Alrighty, here we go. We have a small craft advisory that has been issued until 8 a.m. as we head towards your Saturday. We will be watching for some active surf that will be occurring until about that time frame. But in the meantime, here we are. We have some rain that has been passing through. We will be catching a break as this begins to move out of here. Still some intermittent showers, rain showers that is, that will be passing through on and off throughout the period, even though low pressure will be tracking for the most part farther down toward the south. Meanwhile, there's the rain across the region. Again, the main area, low pressure farther down toward the south, but again, intermittent rain showers will be possible across our neck of the woods today. A lot of clouds though, but again, there's the heavier of the rain showers staying to the south, and that will be common today, even through parts of tomorrow morning. Gusty winds today reaching up to about 20 miles per hour. It will start to decrease later on tonight. Your hourly forecast moving forward today, we do have the clouds, rain showers expected, temperatures in the 60s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig and Janessa.
All right, thank you, Devin. We'll see you later on. Well, hearts are heavy this morning after a solemn and lengthy procession carried Warden Service pilot Joshua Tibbetts from Augusta to Newport yesterday. Authorities say the 50-year-old died in a plane crash while working in Franklin County. Our Doug Banks has the story.
He died what he loved doing.
Joshua Tibbetts was honorably transferred from Augusta to a Newport funeral home Wednesday morning. The 50-year-old from New Gloucester died in a plane crash on Tuesday.
Such a tragic scenario for the state of Maine.
He was stalking fish and collecting data over Schoolhouse Pond in the Franklin County town of Avon when the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife says his Cessna 185F automatically dispatched a distress call at around 11 a.m. Franklin County authorities responded and confirmed it was Tibbetts who died in the crash. He was the only one on board, and the cause of the crash remains unknown as of Wednesday.
We have been in communication with the FAA as well as the NTSB, and will be assisting them with their investigation over the upcoming days.
Tibbetts served as a Maine game warden for 18 years, the last 3 as a pilot. Inland Fisheries and Wildlife says he supported search and rescue missions, conservation efforts, and public safety across Maine.
It was shock. Known Josh forever. Just total shock. Great guy. Lived right in the area, did so much for his community and the state.
Corinna Assistant Fire Chief Sean Richards described Tibbetts as full of fun and one of a kind.
He had the nickname of Boomer. He was loud and full of fun and boisterous, and everybody I think that's associated with Josh has a funny story about times that they had with him, good times and good talks. He's really one of a kind. Grew right up in town with him. Coached him in Little League Baseball, Babe Ruth Baseball. Went to our school systems here. Hometown guy, hometown hero.
Richards on Wednesday was one amongst a sea of state and local authorities and community members between Augusta and Newport who paid their respects.
It was kind of somber, but it was also just amazing to see the support for the man, his family, and the warden service, basically the whole state of Maine.
In Newport, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Two men arrested in Bangor on Monday appeared in court yesterday in connection with a Maine Drug Enforcement and Homeland Security investigation. 34-year-old Carl Harvey of Glenburn and 52-year-old Adam Brooks were taken into custody just after 6 p.m. at the intersection of Audlin Road and Hammond Street Extension. Assistant Attorney General Jason Horn said it started with a home invasion that allegedly involved Harvey and Brooks. According to court testimony, 4 vehicles pulled into a driveway in Herman at the same time.
On surveillance video at the house, Mr. Harvey can be seen getting out of the lead vehicle with Adam Brooks. Harvey has a bandana and sunglasses on and immediately pulls out a pistol.
The prosecutor said luckily no one was home at the time, or it could have turned out much differently. MDA says agents located the car at a hotel with drugs and 2 loaded guns inside. Harvey is facing multiple charges, including burglary, aggravated drug trafficking, and possession of a firearm by a prohibited person. He's being held on $150,000 bail. Adam Brooks is also facing 4 counts. He's being held on $20,000 bail.
Well, Vice President J.D. Vance is set to visit Bangor today, and preparations for his arrival are now underway. The Bangor Police Department says people can expect a lot of extra traffic around the Bangor airport, and people may want to avoid that area. Our Alex Sly tells us residents have mixed emotions about that visit.
Thursday, Air Force Two is scheduled to touch down in the Queen City. According to the White House's website, Vance is expected to deliver remarks at 12:30 at Bangor International Airport's aviation fixed base operator on Main Avenue. A spokesperson for the National Republican Party says the vice president plans to use the visit to highlight what Republicans describe as Democratic mismanagement of the state. Residents are mixed on how they feel about the impending visit.
I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I think anytime that somebody that's like big and famous is cool that they're coming to our small little town.
I just wonder why. Like, what's he doing here and what does he want?
Why? I'm curious.
It's great. I mean, to have a vice president come to the city and see the people of Bangor is a great thrill.
Both airport and police officials declined to discuss specific security measures. However, Wednesday night, no parking, temporary police order signs lined the roads surrounding the airport. Officials also put out a statement urging travelers to plan ahead. While commercial flights are expected to operate on schedule, they warn of heavier than normal traffic and possible delays. In Bangor, Alex Schley for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, the doors at Bangor Aviation will open at 9:30 this morning, and the program will get underway around 11:30. The vice president is expected to deliver his remarks around 12:30. Well, moving on now, a hearing on the Citizens Initiative Act to designate school sports participation by facilities by sex stretched into its second day. Initially, the Secretary of State's office found the initiative's petition efforts to be valid, but a suit was filed to challenge that decision. Petition gatherers were questioned on what towns they visited and if they ever pre-filed any of that information on the petition sheets. Attorney Chris Dodge, who is representing those challenging the petitions, says some of the sheets look like the same person had filled out the information, like the voter's printed name, street address, and municipality. Written closing arguments are due by midnight this Friday, and a decision is due 5 business days after that. The decision can be challenged in Superior Court.
The town of Millinocket has placed Fire Chief Jonathan Cody on paid administrative leave pending an investigation. Emails obtained by ABC 7 and Fox 22 indicate the move at this point is not considered a disciplinary action. In the meantime, Second Assistant Chief Farrington has assumed interim operational leadership of that department. Town Manager Peter Jameson says officials hope to reach a resolution in the coming weeks.
As school boards across the state scramble to finalize their budgets before they go out to voters, folks in the town of Hamden are feeling an increased squeeze on their wallet. Hamden makes up the largest share of both students and revenue for RSU 22, which covers 4 towns. School board members say they've worked tirelessly to keep costs low. However, property valuation in Hamden reached over $1 billion this year, and the town is going through property tax and value reassessment for the first time since 1992. It's something the school board has to balance for their budget and an issue causing costs to skyrocket.
You know, we understand that there are a lot of people who, this is a hard economy right now, and prices are going up. They're seeing it at the gas pump. We're trying to be sensitive to that, and while also running a school district that parents want to move to bring their kids and have their kids educated here.
A district-wide meeting for the RSU 22 budget will be held on June 4th. You can visit our website at foxbangor.com for more information.
A network of substance abuse recovery clinics will open a new location in Ellsworth to address the lack of services in that area. Everest Recovery is a network of opioid use disorder clinics. The company recently completed the city's review process and is renovating a vacant building for the new Ellsworth facility. City planner Brittany Merrill says Everest Recovery identified Ellsworth as a community in need of treatment services based on their research.
They noticed that there was a lack of such services in this area. Because of the distance people are traveling in order to receive these services, it does put a burden on those citizens.
Well, Merrill says the clinic will help address a major gap in the county's treatment services. Everest Recovery hopes to open that new clinic later on this year.
Well, that's some good news.
Yeah.
The time now is 6:11. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, we'll learn the history behind Searsport's Sea Captain statue and how it was created.
But first, another look at that forecast. Today will be a cloudy day with a chance of rain showers, highs around 63 degrees. Rain showers tonight, lows dropping down to the upper 40s. Tomorrow, more rain showers on the way before it finally wraps up. Highs tomorrow around 63. We'll be right back.
I love to mow my lawn. It's not a job, it's a passion for me. I get out there, I enjoy the sun, I love how it cuts, and I sincerely love my John Deere tractor. I love the first cut in the spring and I love the last cut in the fall. You know, every once in a while, of course, it needs a part or it needs something. And it's so nice knowing that United Ag and Turf is there, and whenever we need them, they're here. And it's always been a great experience.
From the heart of Maine, where rugged beauty meets timeless craftsmanship, Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, taming the outdoors through groundwork, retaining walls and seawalls, building custom fireplaces that become the centerpiece of your home, crafting granite steps and patios that invite you outdoors, designing hardscapes that turn yards into living spaces, built to last, crafted for life. Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, quality in every stone.
Every year, communities recognize outstanding service with the Spirit of America Foundation Tribute. Do you know a local person or group that goes above and beyond for others? Nominate them today by contacting a select person, city or town councilor. Help honor those who make a difference where you live. For more information, visit spiritofamerica.website.
The bridge connecting Milford and Old Town will be revamped in the upcoming weeks. The Maine Department of Transportation began work on resurfacing the bridge yesterday as part of a surface replacement project. The changes will include resetting curbs, structural repair, paving, and ADA-compliant sidewalks. The DOT says there will be 2 lanes of two-way traffic open at all times, and folks may experience temporary delays. The project is expected to be completed by the end of June.
The Eastern Area Agency on Aging is hosting its 15th annual Healthy Aging Expo today. Over 70 vendors ranging from healthcare services to nonprofits will be at the Anna Shrine Temple from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. The agency Communications and Development Director, Chris Hill, says the expo is a great opportunity to have so many resources under one roof.
We kind of view this as a catalyst and a facilitator for our older community to interact with our vendors and things like that. So this is a great opportunity, as I said, to get those questions answered and see what's around.
The expo is free, and attendees will also feature a 50-50 raffle and a food truck outside, so you can get some snacks too.
Well, last November, a 9-foot bronze sea captain statue was unveiled in the town of Searsport. Now the woman who spent years trying to make it a reality is sharing what it means to see it become a community staple. Our Grace Blanchard with that story.
Looking over the town of Searsport is a piece of its heritage.
When I was a little girl, Searsport was known as the home of sea captains.
The sea captain statue was unveiled last November, but the idea for it came decades before that.
And I was probably around 8 or 9 years old. My mother gave me just a little statue of a sea captain. Doesn't look anything like that one, but just a little statue. And I remember thinking then, oh, Searsport needs to have a statue.
A few years ago, during the 175th anniversary of the town, Kelly joined forces with her longtime friend Natalie Knox to make the statue a reality. Unfortunately, Natalie fell ill and passed before that could happen.
So I just kind of sat back and thought, I can't do this. No way can I do this.
After her husband passed just months after Natalie, she felt motivated to make it happen. That's when support from area communities started flowing in.
I call it a dream come true because it's on the back plaque, because just so many people stepped up.
Since then, the statue has become a community staple.
It went in late last year, but even with it going in later and being installed later, I saw people stopping and taking pictures in front of it.
The statue has been dedicated to Natalie Knox and is displayed prominently in front of the Penobscot Marine Museum. A gift from Kelly to her friend and the town she's always called home.
I needed something I could leave. I wanted to have something that I knew I was responsible for.
In Searsport, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
We'll have more on what's happening in the town of Searsport during our Live on the Road show this Friday.
Time to head back on the road. We'll be
Yes.
broadcasting from various towns all over the state.
All this summer.
Yeah.
Well, the time now is 6:16. After the break, President Trump meeting with the president of China overnight. We'll have the latest on that.
Plus, a vigil held in Washington, D.C. in honor of fallen police officers. Those stories and more straight ahead on Good Morning Maine.
What went off in your mind to say, I don't want my child to visit with her grandparents?
The dramatic trial to keep his daughter away from his late wife's parents has made headlines. And now,
what do you hope for Layla's future?
He speaks out.
I have to do this.
This morning on Good Morning America.
Carpets looking tired, stained, or just plain dirty? It's time to call the pros. At C&R Carpet Cleaning, we use deep steam technology to remove dirt, odors, pet hair, and allergens fast. Fresh, clean carpets, healthier home. That's the C&R promise. Visit our Facebook page for a free estimate or call us today, 631-7380. Step into clean with C&R Carpet Cleaning.
Do you take propane tank?
Anything goes.
How about cardboard?
Anything goes.
How about old rug?
Yeah, anything goes.
So this too?
Furniture removal, basements, garages, attics, hoarder houses. It doesn't matter here at Anything Goes Junk Removal. Anything goes. Well, almost anything.
The fun never stops at Wheel.
You got it! It's a car! You're a millionaire!
Weekdays at 7 on ABC 7.
A candlelight vigil honoring fallen police officers taking place at the National Mall in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday. The National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund hosting the event, now in its 38th year. Those in attendance remembering the lives of fallen law enforcement officers from all around the country.
We live in a dangerous world, and we ask men and women like you and like the fallen to run into danger when many of us would not. And we take that for granted sometimes, but we shouldn't. And the week that we're having here, that we have every year in Washington, D.C., is the perfect opportunity for every one of us to realize and recognize the importance of a cop, of a public safety officer, of a federal officer, of a firefighter, of the men and women that keep us safe inside this country. There is nothing more important.
The vigil takes place every May 13th during National Police Week An estimated 30,000 people are expected to attend that vigil.
Wow.
Were expected anyway.
Yes. Now let's get a full look at our forecast. Meteorologist Evan Biggs is in with the latest.
Alrighty, Craig and Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer. Experience a Quality Automotive difference. Reliable service and expert care that you can depend on. Call us to schedule your next appointment, 922-2043. Alrighty, here we go. Small craft advisory up until 8 a.m. as we head towards your Saturday. Watching for some active surf that will be occurring along the coast. Let's check out the active wave heights, just around 4 feet according to the buoys, a little bit lower further off towards the north and east. This will be increasing as we do move forward with low pressure tracking off towards the east, further down toward the south. So that's going to keep a lot of the rain that we are seeing on land right now. That's going to keep a lot of this farther down toward the south as the current wave tracks off towards the north and east. So we are seeing some rain this morning. This is going to track off to the north and east. We'll still see some rain showers today, but we are going to catch a lot of breaks though with again some intermittent rain showers. But the bulk of low pressure, you can see the clouds right there, will stay toward our south today, but just close enough again where we will still stay wet moving forward today and tonight. So futurecast for today, still some rain showers, the heaviest staying further off towards the west. And then again, notice how it starts to fizzle as we head towards your Friday. We'll start to push us out of here as we head towards Friday night with the clouds beginning to break up as we head towards early Saturday morning. But again, as I do push the additional rainfall forward, the heaviest further off towards the west, lesser totals further off towards the east. Now, gusty winds for today reaching up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour. And we are going to keep the winds going just a little bit longer as we head towards tonight. But Friday, the winds will finally begin to relax. But in the meantime, for today, mostly cloudy, rain showers, lower 60s for the high, southeast wind at about 25 miles per hour. Overnight rain showers and areas of dense fog with lows in the upper 40s, and that east wind backing off a bit to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Higher gusts not out of the question. Low 60s tomorrow, rain showers early, and then mostly cloudy. We'll still see some on and off rain showers too, with that northeast wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Alrighty, let's check out your extended forecast. Finally drying out Saturday, partly cloudy with highs in the mid 70s, warming up too. Partly cloudy Sunday, a chance for rain showers, mid 70s for the high as well. Low 70s Monday under a partly cloudy sky.
Is that a compression nut?
Oh!
We got a duct taper.
Davis Brothers Furniture is expanding. At Davis Brothers, we've always strived to stand out from the rest, and we are now proud to offer flooring for your home, featuring both carpeting and luxury vinyl flooring. We even have an installer in-house with over 30 years of experience. Come see the reason people have been traveling from all over the state and beyond to Davis Brothers Furniture in Guilford for decades. Davis Brothers Furniture, deliberately different, delivering statewide.
Think you know Robert Charles? Think again. While President Trump was crushing the woke left, DC insider Bob Charles was cashing in, making millions holding lucrative contracts with the woke DEI Never Trump Obama administration. Bob Charles, looking the other way, abandoning the MAGA movement, working for liberal DEI-loving Democrats, failing President Trump. Anything for a buck chuck can't be trusted. Trump traitor Robert Charles, woke, radical, wrong. Just too liberal for Maine.
On the Road, broadcasting the news at 6, live from Searsport, is brought to you by Colburn Shoe, with a wide selection of name brand shoes and sandals for spring and summer. Colburn Shoe Belfast, America's oldest shoe store. Top-notch detailing in Herman. Give me a call today to schedule your appointment, 232-2933. K&M Auto Repair in Holden, offering more than 25 years of automotive expertise. Come see us for your automotive repairs.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
President Trump meeting with the president of China overnight. Everything from Iran to trade to artificial intelligence all on the agenda. With gas and food prices hitting new highs because of the war in Iran, officials say the Trump administration will be pushing China to play a more active role in resolving the conflict. ABC's Lionel Moyes reports.
An elaborate welcome for President Trump kicking off his long-awaited summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Xi opening the summit saying the U.S. and China have more common interests than differences.
It's an honor to be with you. It's an honor to be your friend. And the relationship between China and the USA is going to be better than ever before.
But during their closed-door meeting, a warning. State media reports Xi warned Trump that disagreements over Taiwan, which Beijing claims as part of its territory, could bring the two countries into conflict, saying handled well, the two countries can maintain stability. If handled poorly, the two countries will collide or even clash, putting the entire U.S.-China relationship in an extremely dangerous situation. The two leaders also visiting a temple.
Great place. Incredible. China's beautiful. Did you talk about Taiwan, Mr. President?
Posing for pictures, but ignoring questions about whether they discussed Taiwan. A state banquet is also planned for today. This as the war with Iran looms over the visit. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the U.S. will try to persuade China to play a more active role in getting Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
It's in their interest to resolve this. Economies are melting down because of this crisis in the Straits. They're going to be buying less Chinese product, and the Chinese exports are going to drop precipitously.
But analysts say China will likely be in no rush to help.
They really see this as America's problem to solve, and they can afford to wait this out as they've built up their energy reserves.
China is the biggest buyer of Iranian oil. The Washington Post reports a U.S. intelligence assessment finds that China is gaining a major strategic edge over the U.S. because of the war. Lionel Moyes, ABC News, New York.
Well, meanwhile, rescuers searched through the rubble of a collapsed residential building in Kyiv overnight after a Russian missile and drone attack. One resident saying people, including children, might have been inside the building when it came crashing down, recalling a powerful blast that shook her building. Officials say at least one person was killed and dozens wounded in that overnight assault. Authorities said the strike formed part of a massive bombardment involving hundreds of drones and dozens of missiles targeting multiple regions, including civilian infrastructure and housing in the capital.
It's being called the learning recession. A new report card is out on student test scores, and the news isn't good. Researchers say it's not just the pandemic that set student performance back. Here's ABC's Andrea Fujii.
This morning, American students are falling behind, performing worse than their peers a decade ago. And a new report says the decline cannot be blamed solely on the COVID pandemic.
The test score decline we see started 5 or 6 years before the pandemic and continued afterwards. And so the pandemic was a piece of a much longer story of decline in American education.
After analyzing reading and math scores dating back decades, researchers found what's being dubbed a reading recession. Reading scores dropped in more than 80% of school districts compared to 10 years ago. Math scores dropped in 70% of districts. One factor, they say, is social media.
The rise of social media seems to correspond with a big decline in reading for pleasure. So that decline in reading is just going to clearly have an impact on kids' vocabulary and their ability to read and comprehend.
They also blame a lack of testing and accountability. Congress, back in 2015, scrapped the No Child Left Behind law, which held schools accountable for student performance through standardized testing. Critics argued the law was too rigid and prioritized teaching to the test instead of a well-rounded curriculum. The ongoing teacher shortage is also being cited as a factor. More than 400,000 teaching positions last year were either vacant or filled with unqualified teachers. Chronic student absenteeism is also a problem, which took hold in the pandemic. But researchers say there is hope. Test scores increased dramatically between 1990 and 2013, and they say it can happen again.
I think knowing that should help galvanize us as a country to kind of refocus attention on making sure everyone has access to high-quality educational opportunity.
The report recommends identifying districts that need more funding and finding ways on how to get kids more engaged in the classroom. Andrea Fuji, ABC News, New York.
In other news, a licensed drug addiction counselor is going to prison in connection with actor Matthew Perry's death. Eric Fleming admitted that he helped supply Perry with the drugs involved in his fatal overdose. Hannah Battah with that story.
This morning, the drug addiction counselor who delivered Friends star Matthew Perry the doses of ketamine that eventually killed him has been sentenced to 2 years behind bars.
I'm regretfully sorry, and I wish I could take it back.
Eric Fleming is the fourth person sentenced of the 5 who have pleaded guilty in connection with the actor's 2023 death. Fleming connected Perry to Jasveen Sangha, the drug dealer known as the Ketamine Queen, delivering drugs from her house to Perry's and marking them up to turn a bigger profit.
I did it, and I deserve the consequence.
Prosecutors say Fleming quickly accepted responsibility, cooperating with investigators and identifying Sangha as the original source of the ketamine. She was recently sentenced to 15 years in prison. 2 former doctors who also provided Perry with ketamine were each sentenced in December. And Perry's former assistant, who injected him, faces sentencing later this month.
My chest and heart hurt every day for the pain I caused not only his family, but the millions of people who live.
Fleming plans to continue working in recovery after his release.
I want to really promote.
They're pushing back the music, okay?
People don't understand that ketamine is dangerous and that it can lead to something like this.
Hannah Battah, ABC News, New York.
Well, coming up on the second half of the newscast, a school in California is raising funds to save the home of some bald eagles.
We'll have that story coming up on Good Morning Maine.
Paramount Paving, Maine's go-to for all your paving and seal coating. Paramount Paving offers commercial and residential paving and seal coating services throughout eastern and central Maine. Give us a call for a free estimate today. Paramount Paving. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount.
Warning, entering Keepsakes may cause extreme creativity. From gorgeous fabrics and cozy yarn to gifts you didn't know you needed, we've got it all. Dive into quilting, grab a sewing machine, or join a class and unleash your inner artist. Stick around for our mystery quilt projects if you love a good surprise. And yes, we have a fudge counter because crafting burns calories, right? Keepsakes, where your hobbies and your sweet tooth live happily ever after.
I once told Sam, if he wanted to grow his department store chain, offer lower prices every day. No, I didn't invent discount pricing, but we did invent something better, Dorsey's Red Tag Clearance.
Look for red tags store-wide at Dorsey's. The tags mean you'll save an additional 10 to 50% off Dorsey's already discounted prices. Exceptional values like these won't last long.
Remember, these can save you hundreds. Live beautifully, my friends.
Paramount Paving, Maine's go-to for all your paving and seal coating. Paramount Paving offers commercial and residential paving and seal coating services throughout eastern and central Maine. Give us a call for a free estimate today. Paramount Paving. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. Today is Thursday, May 14th, 2026, and this is also Bond with Your Dog Day.
Most dog owners will tell you how much their pets bring to their lives. They provide unconditional love and companionship, and this is a day to show them how much we love them. This is also a day to find new ways to connect with your dog, a chance to spend a little extra time sharing activities, playing, training, and sharing affection.
I like that too.
I do too.
And your dog will like it very much.
Perfect fitting holiday for Pet of the Week.
Yeah.
I love it.
And if you don't like that holiday, it's also Dance Like a Chicken Day.
Oh.
So you can da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Okay.
All right. Everybody now. All right, let's get to some history. It was on this day in history back in 1607. Jamestown, the first permanent English settlement in North America, was established by members of the Virginia Company. In 1804, on this date, Lewis and Clark began their journey to explore the newly acquired Louisiana Territory and the Pacific Northwest. President Thomas Jefferson wanted to learn what that portion of the country had to offer and commissioned the expedition to search all the way to the Pacific Ocean. Just watched a new documentary on that. Just an amazing thing that they did there.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. In 1856, the military imported camels from the Middle East to use them as pack animals. But that experiment was abandoned because of the Civil War when that broke out and some other issues. They decided camels probably not
Weren't
the best thing.
idea.
No.
And in 1948, the independent state of Israel was proclaimed in Tel Aviv by David Ben-Gurion, who became its first prime minister. In 1961, buses carrying Freedom Riders were bombed and burned in Alabama. And in 1973, NASA launched Skylab, the first American space station. The successful venture was used for scientific experiments and to house 3 separate crews for an extended amounts of time. It remained in space until 1979 when it left orbit and mostly burned up into our atmosphere. That picture's pretty cool too.
Yeah.
And in 1998, the final episode of the sitcom Seinfeld appeared on television.
I think just about everybody with a TV was watching that night.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, for birthdays today, they include Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg, who is 42 today. Actress Cate Blanchett is 57. And director George Lucas is 82 years old today. Some big names today.
Definitely.
Happy birthday to you also, if your birthday is today.
We'll turn things right back over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, Craig and Janessa, thank you very much. Happy Thursday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer. Experience the Quality Automotive difference. Reliable service and expert care that you can depend on. Call to schedule your next appointment, 922-2043. Alrighty, here we go. We have a small craft advisory that has been issued until 8 a.m. as we head towards your Saturday. We will be watching for some active surf that will be occurring until about that time frame. But in the meantime, here we are. We have some rain that has been passing through. We will be catching a break as this begins to move out of here. Still some intermittent showers, rain showers that is, that will be passing through on and off throughout the period, even though low pressure will be tracking for the most part farther down toward the south. Meanwhile, there's the rain across the region. Again, the main area low pressure farther down toward the south, but again, intermittent rain showers will be possible across our neck of the woods today. A lot of clouds though, but again, there's the heavier of the rain showers staying to the south, and that will be common today, even through parts of tomorrow morning. Gusty winds today reaching up to about 20 miles per hour. It will start to decrease later on tonight. Your hourly forecast moving forward today, we do have the clouds, rain showers expected, temperatures in the 60s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig and Janessa.
All right, thank you, Devin. Still to come here this morning, Jack Webb with sports.
Don't go away.
What does Graham Plattner think of rural Mainers? He calls them stupid and racist. And Plattner called some Maine lobstermen drug-addicted pieces of shit. That's the real Graham Plattner. Pine Tree Results Pack is responsible for the content of this advertising.
I'm Barry Higgins from Maple Lane Farm. We have our own beef herd here. We're on about 800 head, and it's raised right here on the farm. And we go direct to the consumer. No middleman, all natural, good old-fashioned Maine beef. Our quality is unbeatable. We have specials on Facebook every week. We guarantee our product 100%, whether it be beef, pork, or chicken. And we have a small selection of lamb also.
Maple Lane Farm, a candy store for a carnivore.
Are you in need of remodeling your bathroom? Want to convert your tub into a safe walk-in shower? Call the experts at Bangor Bathrooms by Design now. They offer complete bathroom remodels, and from start to finish, your satisfaction is guaranteed. Call them now and save thousands. 659-6457. Enjoy that brand new bathroom you've always wanted from Bangor Bathrooms by Design. Transforming bathrooms, elevating lives.
Graham Plattner blames Maine's women for getting raped because he says they get up drunk. And Plattner bragged about having a Nazi tattoo on his chest. That's the real Graham Plattner. Pine Tree Results PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
ABC 7 and Fox 22's Jack Webb named Maine's Sportscaster of the Year by the National Sports Media Association.
Welcome back in, folks. The Husson University softball team has qualified for the NCAA tournament in each of the last 8 seasons. And for the 3rd time in 5 years, they'll host a regional round right here in Bangor. The Eagles hosted the tournament in 2021 and 24 and will do so again starting on Thursday as the number 12 ranked team in the nation for Division III. Eagles senior catcher Morgan Tainter acknowledged how great the opportunity is to play at home in the opening round of the NCAA tournament, not for the advantage that comes with that, but the idea that teams from around the region will be able to experience the town of Bangor.
We always love a good home field advantage, but to host it here and know that these schools aren't, like, most of them haven't played here ever, so we are super excited to be able to show them, like, what Bangor, Maine has to offer and how we're ready to come out and win.
The Eagles drew Endicott College in Monday's selection show and will face off with the Gulls on Thursday. Senior Morgan Curtis says that this team's goal did not stop at winning the NAC title and that they're here to win.
Pretty much we just remind each other that our record now is 0-0 and so is everybody else's. So when we show up to practice, we show up like it's warm-ups for a game. We have an expectation now, and being able to perform at the high standard of a regional is what we're focusing on.
Good luck to the Eagles. We'll have that game for you on Thursday. Keeping it local, Maine's 2025 Mr. Maine Baseball has made an instant impact with the University of Southern Maine Huskies baseball program as Foxcroft Academy alum Hayden Strout was recognized for his efforts on Wednesday. Strout was named the 2026 Little East Conference Rookie of the Year, becoming the first pitcher to win Rookie of the Year in a storied history for USM. The lefty posted a 6-1 record with a 3.38 ERA as the former Pony continues to dominate at the next level. The Huskies are hosting a regional in the NCAA tournament this weekend after winning the Little East Conference as they look to make a run in the national tournament. Let's stay on the diamond for some high school baseball action. We'll take you to Newport where the Nokomis Warriors hosted the Skowhegan Riverhawks. Some light rain in the mix in Newport, but we played ball anyway. In the first inning, it's going to be a hit from Jack Fitzpatrick as Nokomis looking for the easy out, but they can't clean it up. Fitzpatrick ends up on base. In the second inning, though, it's another nice hit from the Riverhawks, but Nokomis' Owen Sides tracks it down for the out. Riverhawks find a way to the base in the early goings of this one. John Johnson with a hit to right field, and he takes first. Then the Warriors took off. Maddox Hawthorne with a deep center hit. That would set up Jeff Carr for a big 2-run homer to make it 2-0. Sorry we missed that one, but we wanted to recognize you, Jeff. Riverhawks get on the board when Ari Brown's hits sends Fitzpatrick home, but the Warriors kept scoring. Owen Buck with a deep hit, and Hawthorne gets home again. Warriors go on to win 9-1. The Maine Mariners and Wheeling Nailers facing off in a critical Game 5 at the Cross Insurance Arena on Wednesday night. The Mariners scoring a dramatic 2-1 double overtime win last night to even up the series at 2. Back to the Cross we go. Hearts of Pine founder and Maine Sports Hall of Fame inductee Gabe Hoffman Johnson dropping tonight's ceremonial first puck. Nailers strike first in the first. Ryan McAllister follows his own rebound and puts it home for a 1-0 Wheeling lead. Minutes later, McAllister is going to look for another, but look at this stop from Luke Calavini. He's been on it these past 3 games. Big key to Mariners' success. Still in the first. Here come the Mariners. Ben Allison in the slot sends a splitzer to the back of the net. We're tied at 1. Less than a minute later, the red-hot Max Andreeve beats Taylor Gauthier. Mariners up 2-1 after the first period. Second period now, Mariners on the power play. It's going to be Andreeve. He's going to have the one-timer and slap it home for his second of the game. 3-1. Mariners now, they're rolling. Third period, Mariners up 4-2. Xander Lampa is going to feed Brooklyn Kalmikov for his second of the game. That was the knockout punch as the Mariners win Game 5, 5-3. They now lead the series 3-2. Can wrap things up Friday night in Game 6 at Wheeling. We'll head down to Boston for some headlines now, where some exciting news about the Patriots was released on Wednesday. The Pats will open the NFL season on Wednesday. Yes, a Wednesday, September 9th, in a Super Bowl rematch against the Seattle Seahawks, an early test for the 2026 Pats. It was also announced they'll be a part of the international series. The Pats will travel to Germany to take on the Detroit Lions in Week 10. We'll have the entire schedule for you on Thursday night as it's released. And finally, we'll pivot to the ice now, where the Bruins got some news to look forward to, or not. Their star defenseman Charlie McAvoy will serve a 6-game suspension to start next season. In Game 6 of their series against the Buffalo Sabres, as time was winding down on their season, McAvoy got slew-footed by Sabres forward Zach Benson, and in response, McAvoy took an axe-style chop at Benson, which, as you'd assume, is highly illegal. So the Bruins' assistant captain is slated to miss the first 6 games of next year. However, he does have the opportunity to appeal that one. Can't blame McAvoy there, but probably not the right thing to do, right? That's all the time we have for sports. Right back after the break.
Tech that lets you be you, how it should be. The Hyundai Tucson.
Lease an all-wheel drive Hyundai Tucson SE for $209 a month, or get 0% APR plus 0 payments for 90 days. Hurry in.
You're getting ripped off. Criminals overbill Maine Care. They even charge for fake services, and Janet Mills let it happen. I'm Jonathan Bush. I've built systems that stopped fraud and abuse and saved customers millions. As governor, I'll audit every program and reduce that waste and fraud. Politicians and lobbyists don't have what it takes to clean up this corruption, but I do. I'm Jonathan Bush. Let's shake up Augusta.
On the Road, broadcasting the news it sense, live from Searsport, is brought to you by the town of Searsport. Come explore the Maine coast. Find treasures on our beaches, local shops, art galleries, and the Penobscot Marine Museum. Pumpkin Patch Antiques, celebrating 51 years, selling 18th century and 19th century furniture, art, nautical pieces, and goodwill. Coastal Auto Parts, your local Napa Auto Parts dealer with 30 locations. Owned and operated by a Maine family that cares.
Well, the clock is winding down for the Big Bear Bald Eagle's home, which is now facing a threat. It's a piece of land where fellow eagles hunt to feed their eaglets, but now it's under the threat of people who want to build luxury homes on it instead.
However, one elementary school in Danville, California would beg to differ. Here's ABC's Danny New.
You may recall our story last year with Jackie, Shadow, and a nonprofit called Friends of Big Bear Valley.
How would you describe these last 48 hours for yourself?
Joy, giggling.
The California-based organization runs a 24/7 live feed of these 2 eagles that, when their eggs hatched last year, attracted millions. However, now Friends of Big Bear Valley has a $10 million problem.
It's gone up by at least $20,000.
But not if John Baldwin Elementary School can help it.
Every class, 1st through 5th grade, comes in, and one of their first questions is, how much money have we raised?
Sarah Stinson's science class has been learning about the eagles who hunt at a piece of lakefront land called Moon Camp. That said, if $10 million cannot be raised by July 31st to purchase that land from a developer, Moon Camp is going to be turned into luxury homes.
I put up some flyers around some different businesses.
Since learning of this, the students have sprung into action. They've been running lemonade stands and bake sales.
I'm writing this letter to inform you of a problem.
Even starting a persuasive writing campaign in a different class.
The letters are being sent to different people around the world. It can also just be someone from your family.
As of now, SaveMoonCamp.org says Friends of Big Bear Valley and the San Bernardino Land Trust have raised almost $3 million. Also, you may notice the website says, let's do it for Sandy. And that one of Jackie and Shadow's eaglets is named Sandy. Both of these are in honor of former executive director Sandy Steers, who passed away earlier this year. You saw a clip from our interview last March, and here is what she said was her favorite part about the growing popularity of this land and its eagles.
What I'm most thrilled about is people connecting with nature and
and feeling it and wanting to see what's happening out there, because I think then a lot more people will care about what's outside their door and want to protect it.
And Friends of Big Bear Valley tells our San Francisco station that if they can't raise the money in time, they're prepared to take out loans and pay off the debt with more fundraising. One member said, quote, failure is not an option. In New York, for ABC News, I'm Danny New.
Well, let's hope they raise all the money they need. I've got an eagle that lives by my house by the
really?
Penobscot River. I love watching it.
Oh, they're so awesome.
And they've come back year after year now, and it's just so neat. I feel so lucky.
Yeah, definitely have to protect them.
Yeah.
Well, now here's meteorologist Devin Biggs with our full weather forecast.
Alrighty, Craig and Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer. Experience a Quality Automotive difference. Reliable service and expert care that you can depend on. Call us to schedule your next appointment, 922-2043. Alrighty, here we go. Small craft advisory up until 8 a.m. as we head towards your Saturday. Watching for some active surf that will be occurring along the coast. Let's check out the active wave heights, just around 4 feet according to the buoys, a little bit lower further off towards the north and east. This will be increasing as we do move forward with low pressure tracking off towards the east, further down toward the south. So that's going to keep a lot of the rain that we are seeing on land right now. That's going to keep a lot of this farther down toward the south as the current wave tracks off towards the north and east. So we are seeing some rain this morning. This is going to track off to the north and east. We'll still see some rain showers today, but we are going to catch a lot of breaks though with, again, some intermittent rain showers. But the bulk of low pressure, you can see the clouds right there, will stay toward our south today, but just close enough again where we will still stay wet moving forward today and tonight. So futurecast for today, still some rain showers, the heaviest staying further off towards the west. And then again, notice how it starts to fizzle as we head towards your Friday. We'll start to push us out of here as we head towards Friday night with the clouds beginning to break up as we head towards early Saturday morning. But again, as I do push the additional rainfall forward, the heaviest further off towards the west, lesser totals further off towards the east. Now, gusty winds for today reaching up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour. And we are going to keep the winds going just a little bit longer as we head towards tonight. But Friday, the winds will finally begin to relax. But in the meantime, for today, mostly cloudy, rain showers, lower 60s for the high, southeast wind at about 25 miles per hour. Overnight rain showers and areas of dense fog with lows in the upper 40s, and that east wind backing off a bit to about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Higher gusts not out of the question. Low 60s tomorrow, rain showers early, and then mostly cloudy. We'll still see some on and off rain showers too, with that northeast wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Alrighty, let's check out your extended forecast. Finally drying out Saturday, partly cloudy with highs in the mid 70s, warming up too. Partly cloudy Sunday, a chance for rain showers, mid 70s for the high as well. Low 70s Monday under a partly cloudy sky.
Need a safe and caring place for your loved one during the day? At the Merchant Center Adult Day program, we provide a supportive environment where adults can enjoy companionship, engaging activities, and personalized care in a setting that feels like home. Our experienced staff is committed to meeting each person's unique needs while promoting independence, dignity, and overall well-being. Families can feel confident knowing their loved ones are in compassionate, capable hands.
It's Costa's Restaurant and Bar.
It's Costa's Restaurant and Bar.
Costa's.
Costa's.
No matter how you say it, you're going to love it. We offer a huge selection of homemade Greek, American, and Italian dishes that you can enjoy in our front dining room. Or take a seat at the bar. With our Dine for $29 special, get an appetizer, 2 meals, and a dessert, all for just $29.99. And don't forget our event space has plenty of room to accommodate your party.
It's Costa's.
Costa's.
A delicious experience that doesn't cost a lot.
I was barricaded at the Capitol on January 6th. I saw it firsthand. I'm Jordan Wood. We can't go back to a broken system. I can't stand idly by as Trump rips away healthcare. ICE is terrorizing our streets, and billionaires buy elections. I spent my career defending democracy from election deniers and fighting corporate PACs. We need to take on Trump, beat Paul LePage, and finally deliver Medicare for all. I'm Jordan Wood. I approve this message.
It's the most fast-paced.
Be ready.
Ferocious.
Oh.
Hard-hitting. Championship and all of sports.
Bring it down. And then jazz hands if we have time. Sure.
The Stanley Cup Final, coming in June to ABC.
Next Jeopardy, clock it. He's won over 6 figures.
Now I got all this adrenaline to deal with.
Now, in the nick of time, will a newcomer secure a win?
Last minute clue.
Next Jeopardy.
Only on ABC 7.
In war-torn Gaza, a group of girls find solace in a strength-building activity. Girls of all ages in Gaza's Muwasi area of Khan Yunis practice boxing as an outlet from being displaced by war. They line up to strike punching bags, releasing energy as the sun beams down on them. In conservative Gaza, boxing has been long considered an unusual activity for girls. Before the war, girls typically trained in gyms. However, the war has left limited recreational spaces. While the boxing practice area has upgraded some of its equipment, the group is still lacking a ring and padding. Their coach says working towards a goal gives the girls motivation during difficult times.
Well, quite the adventure for a kitten in Florida after getting trapped in a storm drain. This is video of rescuers in Ocala, Florida, bringing the kitten to safety. But this kitten wasn't interested in a swift rescue. Crews came out on day one, entered the drain, but the kitten ran deeper inside the pipe due to nightfall. The search had to stop at that point. The next morning, Ocala Fire and Rescue, Ocala Public Works, and Marion County's Animal Services all worked together, setting up a trap inside the drain and then blocked exits to encourage the kitten to come out. The kitten eventually came out, but ran across the street into another pipe.
Oh, no.
After several attempts to lure the feline out, they decided to use a gentle stream of water to force the kitten out of its hiding place and into the hands of rescuers.
Oh, well, I'm glad it's safe.
You probably thought, you know, these are monsters trying to get me.
Probably
you know?
trying to run away and stay safe the best it knew how.
Hopefully it's in a nice warm home this morning.
Hopefully. Well, that's all the time that we have left for this hour, but you can join us for the next hour of Good Morning Maine. That's next on Fox 22.
Thanks for being there, everyone. We hope you have a great day.
Across America.
Good morning. While President Trump was crushing the woke left, DC insider Bob Charles was cashing in, making millions holding lucrative contracts with the woke DEI Never Trump Obama administration. Bob Charles, looking the other way, abandoning the MAGA movement, working for liberal DEI-loving Democrats, failing President Trump. Anything for a buck chuck can't be trusted. Trump traitor Robert Charles, woke, radical, wrong. Just too liberal for Maine.
This spring, invest in your nest with the County Federal Credit Union. Your home has grown in value, season after season. With the county's 10-10 Home Equity Line of Credit, you can borrow up to your credit limit over 10 years with interest-only payments over those 10 years, 10-10. And then you can stop and smell the roses, soak up the sun, and invest in your nest. The 10-10 Home Equity Line of Credit, the County Federal Credit Union, countyfcu.org.
There are so many fun things to do in Maine. Now you can enjoy more for less. Check out half-off deals from foxbangor.com.
Located on Wilson Street in Brewer, Yoshi Japanese Restaurant, where you'll find only the best sushi, Asian favorites, and specialty crafted cocktails that will satisfy anyone. Try tatami seating for an immersive experience. Yoshi Japanese Restaurant, bringing delicious traditions to you.
There's a limited supply available. It's on sale right now. Save with half-off deals from foxbangor.com.
Think you're good at trivia? Arrange these holidays, these historic firsts, these animals. By the way,
I have no idea.
Congratulations, you have built the perfect line. I'm Deborah Norville, and this is the perfect line.
Onion rings before, in between onion rings and pizza.
Definitely after.
This is what happy looks like.
Weekdays at 10 on Fox 22.
Good Morning Maine on WFVX, Fox 22. From the Great Northwoods to the Rock Mountain Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, a procession was held yesterday from Augusta to Newport for Game Warden Josh Tibbetts. We'll have the story coming up.
Plus, Vice President J.D. Vance is sent to visit the Queen City today. We'll tell you about the preparations that are underway.
And the city of Ellsworth is planning to open a substance abuse recovery clinic. We'll bring you that story as well. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us on this Thursday morning. We'll have that and a special story about a unique sea captain statue in Searsport as well.
Yeah,
that's kind of a neat story. We'll tell you about that coming up too. But first, a check of that forecast, looking like a cloudy day ahead with just a chance of rain. Hang in there, though. Once we get through today and like the first part of tomorrow, it looks like
the weekend looks awesome.